I'm going to give you 15 seconds, and then come running in if that's not enough. Chief, are you still there?
I am here.
Okay. Yeah, mute yourself
I was gonna
so we don't hear the Kadima game going on.
Cans clinking and the bottles.
Okay, assuming Channel 79 is doing their thing, I will call to order the 2,393rd meeting of the Darien Police Commission. First order of business is acceptance of minutes. Mr. Cunningham, you want to make a motion?
I will move to accept the minutes.
Second, all those in favor?
I'll just abstain since I
Yes.
wasn't here last time.
And with that, I will introduce our newest commissioner, Brent Hayes.
Thank you, Kim.
We are excited to be working with you, and I will not go through his bio, but I think in the next week or two, if you are interested in reading about Brent's bio, it will be up on the police website. So,
Thank you, Kim.
okay, in absence of the chief, I'm going to turn it over to captains for correspondence.
Yes, Chief, with your approval, I'll discuss the letters we received.
Yes, that's true. Chief Anderson is on the phone, but
I'm ready. Feel free to proceed.
Okay. First letter of correspondence is from Monica Keene and Cameron Shockley O'Keefe. They were hosts on a town hall Zoom meeting for Community for Peace and Unity that the chief was a panelist on back on June 30th. They were writing to thank all the chiefs and participants and felt that it was a crucial step forwards toward systematic transformative change and the start of a well-needed connection between the police force and the community. They went on to explain they were particularly impressed how everyone was willing and open towards answering the tough questions asked of them all, and the transparency was very appreciated. They look forward to seeing and being part of similar events in the future. And just for a little history, the panel consisted of several Fairfield County chiefs, as well as Chief Anderson, the Chief State's Attorney, the Assistant Chief State's Attorney, and members of the Norwalk chapter of the NAACP. Talking next letter. Next letter, appreciation, is from a Long Neck Point Road resident, thanking the efforts of Sergeant Andrew Mastriani and Sergeant Derek Mulcahy. Apparently the resident had some difficulty with a contractor on his property, and he writes that your officers performed admirably, and certainly their presence ensured that the situation was handled with no difficulty. Without Sergeants Mastriani, Mulcahy in our home, the situation would have been very different. We are most grateful, as always, for the support we received in this difficult situation. You have a terrific team, and we commend Sergeants Mastriani and Mulcahy for a job well done. And the last letter of correspondence is from a Beach Drive resident who just wanted to communicate his appreciation for the chief's document that he wrote on the 8 That Can't Wait recommendations. He writes that we have lived in Darien for 15 years and my family has had nothing but great interactions with the Darien Police Department. But that doesn't mean that organizations and procedures can't be improved. I am sure it would have been easy to be defensive or say that the problems being highlighted on the news only exist in other cities, but you didn't. You listened and responded thoughtfully. That only increases my trust in your leadership. Please communicate to your force. Darien residents can both want our country to have better policing and support and love of our police department. Next letter.
All
And that's
three.
it for letters of correspondence.
All nice, thank you. Department activity,
Yes, that's me as well.
that is you.
So this is from June 2nd to July 14th. The first entry here was one that didn't make the activity report for last meeting, but it occurred prior to this window. On June 29th, a 24-year-old Norwalk woman was arrested for criminal mischief for keying a car in the parking lot of 150 Ledge Road. Over the 4th of July weekend, officers were assigned to both beaches to assist with security. At one point on Sunday, July 5th, Weed Beach needed to be closed because the lot was full. It was then reopened approximately 1 hour later. On July 6th, a 58-year-old Greenwich man was arrested by warrant for harassment in the second degree for an incident that took place at the Goose Restaurant in March of this year. On July 6th, a retail establishment on Tokenique Road reported that on the 13th of June, suspects fraudulently used a credit card to acquire merchandise. This incident remains under investigation. On July 12th at approximately 1:30 a.m., the Darien Exxon at 1358 Post Road was burglarized. Our Marine Division is reporting that calls for service over the last 2 weeks have been high due to the increased level of boating activity. During the week of July 6th, a panel of several officers of a variety of ranks interviewed 31 candidates for our entry-level police officer position. 5 candidates have been selected to move forward with the process at this point. Our accident reconstruction team completed a 3-day training course in the use of new survey equipment that was donated by the Darien Foundation. And also our traffic division has informed us that the Connecticut Department of Transportation has announced that a distracted driving and hazardous violation enforcement campaign will take place during the month of August. Our agency will be participating in the enforcement campaign once again. And now for the not so great news. Over the last few days, and within this window, June 2nd to 14th of July, mostly over the past 2 or 3 nights, we've had 2 stolen cars which were unlocked and had the keys in it. We've had 12 burglaries of unlocked cars. We've had 1 burglary of an unlocked garage and a subsequent burglary of the unlocked vehicle inside. Again, during this window, we've had 3 minor car accidents, which we feel is pretty low. Although yesterday we had 1 accident involving a pedestrian in the parking lot of a gas station on the Post Road. Thankfully, it was only minor injuries. And then another accident yesterday involving a vehicle striking a bicyclist, also with minor injuries. Both of these accidents, the preliminary investigation has shown that the pedestrian and the bicyclist were at fault. That's all I have.
You made it through July 4th. Sounds pretty good. Knock on wood. All good. All right. Old business, COVID-19 update. Not sure there is much.
The only thing we're still dealing with as far as the most recent release of the quarantine restrictions, we've learned that several of our officers had planned vacations to some of these states with the high rates. So we're taking all the precautions that both the town has set forth and also that the state of Connecticut has. And they are and will be continuing to use these precautions. Chief, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add to the COVID-19 update.
Other than the fact that Darien still has a very good track record with new infections, I think our folks are still doing everything required of them to try to keep this in check. And our officers are taking every precaution that they need to ensure the safety of our folks inside.
The list of states is growing longer and longer. Unfortunately, it's not a couple of isolated. It's almost anywhere. So I guess it's to be expected that someone's going somewhere. But
Captain, are you still doing the every Wednesday pick up a PPE?
I think Post 53 has been helping us with that,
Yep.
correct?
Every Monday, yeah.
Monday. And no PPE issues at the moment for your...
I think for the moment, and what we've experienced over the last month or so, we're very well supplied at the moment, right?
okay, let's hope that we continue to have very short updates on COVID-19. Entry-level testing, I think you touched on it.
Yeah, the only thing I'll add,
why don't
Jan
you-
left me a note here. Actually, we only ended up interviewing 27. There was a couple of no-shows, I guess. 5 were selected for the commission interviews, which will take place on July 27th.
And again, if anyone wants to delve into our hiring practices, you can go to our website, and it's in our FAQ sheet is a little bit more detail about interview and police commission and what officers go through before they even step on the force.
And maybe you want to touch on, just there was a high number of candidates.
Yeah,
We were kind of surprised by.
This was a better showing than last time. We had more applicants, and it was,
The quality, I think, of applicants too, or
yeah.
And this is for one position.
one position at the moment.
That's a good turnout.
Okay. New business, traffic.
Okay, so the Commons, the Heights Road construction project, that's been underway for a few months now. On the horizon, it's going to start to ramp up pretty
Yep.
significantly. So Captain Merritt and I went up there yesterday, and we spoke with the project manager. And I know last week I had asked you for permission to close Heights Road.
Yep.
So the road was only closed for one day. It went smoothly. The traffic was diverted. Westbound traffic on Heights Road was diverted through the train lot, so
Yep.
no problem there. The issue was that in their work, they discovered, I believe it was some type of sewer line that they did not think they were going to encounter, so they canceled the rest of the work for this week. So they're going to resume that this following Monday, but it may take a couple extra more days of the road being closed.
To deal with the sewer line.
Right, so just so everyone knows that's watching, westbound traffic is allowed through from the Rowan Avenue. So you can go south or north on the Rowan Avenue, go onto Heights Road. You can still visit those establishments like Subway and the cleaners. You can then travel through the train lot, come out the other end. You can exit, you can go right, and you can go to the cleaners, the liquor store, Vavalas, and those stores in that row. You can still access Walgreens and Equinox. You can go straight up Edgerton or left onto Heights Road. So all those stores are still open. You can still visit those stores. We just had to close. It was too dangerous to leave that road open with the type of equipment that they were swinging around. To keep one lane open would have been too dangerous.
Bob, if I could just add one thing. I think one of the biggest complications they had on the day that it was closed was vehicles accessing the Equinox. And we just want to reinforce that the access to Equinox is through the Walgreens entrance. You can't drive through the do not enter, the exit only, and the officers were having a difficult time with would-be
So the
patrons of
old, where
Equinox.
you used to be able to go in, you're now going through.
Where you used to be able to go in as an exit only
It's
right
exit
now.
only.
We're not changing any of the signage. That's why the train lot is westbound only.
Yeah.
Because when you drive through and you come to the other end, for cars driving east on Heights Road, you can't enter the train lot. There's several do not enter signs and one-way signs, so.
Well, and that's just a general message in that area. People should be looking at the signs, whether it's COVID, we're all used to now following different stay 6 feet apart and one way down, the grocery store aisles. Certainly the Heights area, people, it's open. I think that's an important message to get out, but just look alive, follow the arrows and the officers who were presumably there directing traffic.
So they're asking once again to have Heights Road closed for that project next week. And we also have two other requests and then a notification. So the highest priority request is, I spoke to the project superintendent, Mr. Sala, and they're requesting that a portion of West Avenue be closed between Edgerton and Rowan Avenue. They have to do similar type of work on that side, on the north side of the project, as they're doing on Heights Road. It was explained to me that if they're allowed to close the road completely, they can get this work done in a two-week period. If they have to do alternating traffic, it could take up to 7 weeks to complete the same work.
Now, if that portion is closed, so if I'm up at the top of the hill, I assume it's closed right there at the gas station, right,
Yep.
down to the traffic light.
But it'll be open to residents only,
Right.
And
west on the road from, west on west.
so people
on the
just,
road.
if you were going straight down west to head into Stamford, where are we directing back towards
They'd be set down.
the depot?
South on the road, right up to Heights Road, and then you can either go all the way down Heights to Hollow Tree or go up
Take it
Edgerton.
right, so you're doglegging left
Right.
around that.
They're hoping to, if they get approval, to have this done before, the school
I
starts.
was just gonna say, can we get this in the dog days of August?
If they cannot do that, they are agreeable to starting a start time after the buses are done and ending before the buses start up again in the afternoon.
Yeah, I'm very sympathetic to 2 weeks versus 7 weeks, and it's, there's an easy way to get around it and all that, but if they can chop and get on it. I
We made
think
a very-
September is not so great.
We made it very clear to them that, you know, even before school starts, there's some substantial bus traffic there, new drivers learning routes, if we even have that at this point.
But just
Especially
people
for-
come back, I mean, again, I'm assuming that people come back from vacation, it's
Yeah.
not even buses, it's just general traffic.
Well, having dealt with the gas line project that went through the same area, we had a significant issue with buses, so,
Okay,
but they're aware of it.
So this is their highest priority. If they had to choose for, you know, on this list of what to kind of attack first, they would, that'd be their highest priority is the West Avenue project.
all right, so we have the West Avenue, we have reclosing Heights Road. It was only closed on the 13th, and they'd like 4 more days on Heights Road.
Right.
Rob, is it worth reaching out to Equinox? I mean, they send their members an email when they break a sink, right? So seriously, just to, you know, have them send a message that during these days to come in.
Yeah, I have to look into something like that because the owner of the, I was out there looking at the site, the owner of the laundromat was a little upset about the road closure. So if we can get them notified, the merchants there on Heights Road.
Yeah, so if they're open but the road's closed, are they effectively closed for 4 days?
On Heights Road, the portion that's actually shut down is a very small portion,
But you have to come in,
but we have to divert the traffic through so you can still hit the stores on the east side of Heights Road, and then you can go through the lot, and you take a right and then hit the other stores like Bavalas and all those stores. So the road is closed, but yet it's not closed, if that makes sense. It's just you can't drive straight all the way through
Right.
Heights Road
Right.
because of the large hole.
I mean, you can allow the storefront owners there to put a little sign up, we're open.
They did.
You know, directing traffic.
Yeah, we had-
I saw it on the one side, but.
We had signage on the
Specifically,
Edgerton Street side that said businesses are open, and they were allowed to drive freely. You know, they weren't stopped at the signage, so. But I'm sure that the area looked a little intimidating to, you know,
yeah, it's a mess.
people driving through.
Kim, West Avenue is a transit bus route also,
Right.
so someone should reach out to them if you're gonna do a road closure. I don't know how they can do it.
That was on our list as well, and we brought that up to them. I'm not sure that the transit buses actually go past Edgerton on West Avenue when they're coming in from Stanford. I want to say that, in my experience, they turn down Edgerton, make their pickups either at the train station or at the bus stops on Heights Road, and then they move back out towards the Stanford direction. I'm not 100% sure, but in my experience, that's what I've seen.
Well, let's look
We'll
at their
check it.
routes and
Sorry?
see, yeah, let's look at their routes and
Yeah.
just add them to our communication list.
On the last part of West Ave too, is I explained to them that West Ave is the only road connecting Norwalk, Darien, and Stanford other than a highway for oversized loads, because they can't use the post road. So we had that with the gas line project as well. Big trucks with heavy equipment can't use the post road, so they need to use West Ave. So they're aware of that as well.
Well, it sounds like for better or worse, we have some experience with the gas line project in this, so I will assume that but I would lean on them to get it done. And what was the third?
So another thing they're looking at is there's a large structure that has to be built behind the Equinox. And it's involving a lot of steel girders and a lot of large, piping and stuff like that to be brought to that site. So they're asking if a temporary driveway, and they kind of have it sketched out already, like a rocky driveway formation. But they want to put a temporary driveway between Chase Bank and Bill's Auto Body on the west side of Rowan Avenue. And they would pave like a third of the beginning of the driveway. So the idea is they would bring the trucks and the equipment up the road and down that temporary driveway in the back of Equinox. And I guess it would accelerate their ability to build this structure. I'm not an engineer or a contractor, but they had said to me that if they had to go in a different way, either through Edgerton or Heights Road, it would extend the project by 2 months by not having access to the rear of the Equinox.
So bringing the truck straight in off of Norotan Avenue, taking a left between Bill's and the bank down that hill.
Right. Right, so
That seems like a weird
They
place
said-
to be
Tough
bringing.
spot to
That's
go
a
in,
tough
yeah.
spot to be banging around with big steel. I'm not an engineer either, but
we had a similar situation when they demoed the house. In between, that's where the house was there, and it was demoed.
I think it's almost better than taking a left, taking a right in,
But they-
going around the back
really,
of,
that's
like,
good.
that's gonna be really
Did
hard.
they say how long this temporary driveway would be?
14 weeks.
14 weeks, and that's separate from the 2 weeks we just discussed for the other closures
Right.
as well?
And
Or would it
we-
be during the same time?
I was just gonna
No,
say, can we sequence
no.
this somehow? Because
No,
we're
I
closing this.
made that
and-
clear to them that we can't have this, we can't have the whole Heights, section of town turn into a
No.
construction site. So it would have to be done in segments where you finish Heights Road is done. You do West Avenue is done.
Well, it looks like, at least on their schedule, that Heights Road is basically next week, and then we're
I
done
told,
with that. So that's over now.
we told him that he would have to have an officer there to bring the trucks in and out. But we stressed to them how busy Norotan Avenue is at commuter times, in the morning and the afternoon. Even just with regular traffic, there's a lot of backup there. I said, this is gonna be a little tougher sell, and I could see a lot of issues as far as traffic backup. And he said, if they had to choose priority, the priority would be West Avenue closure. Another project which I'll talk about, the curb cut line on Norotan Avenue. And the third would be this extra driveway. They said they could still make it work without the driveway.
Well, I guess I have a couple of questions, which is, how much steel, is it once a day a truck comes in with a steel girder? Is it,
They made it sound like the first week and the last week would be the busiest. They said about 40, the first week.
40 trucks.
40 trucks?
Is that something that, to Kim's point, is that something that can be done, whatever, 10 through 12, non-rush hour type periods? Is it
Overnight?
constant flow throughout the day?
I mean, we could definitely have a meeting with them to, if we were gonna consider this, to, tighten it up a little bit so it's less inconvenient to the commuters in town.
And I just don't have in my mind, because to me, that is all such a tight, it's not big wide
Right.
roads,
I
or
think-
they swing,
I think this is their most ideal, they said, he stressed to me, I spoke to him again yesterday afternoon, he stressed to me they can make this work another way. This would be their first choice, but they understand.
I would like to see their other way, if they have a plan B that,
Right.
and even, I would like to see a little more detail on their plan A. How many trucks, how big are these? I just, in my mind, and I may be, looking at it, but it's all tight and it gets backed up there, and then you have to stop traffic both ways in order to, I don't know, you're taking a right or a left, I'm doing both with my hands, but just pulling out of some of those places, you have to make space that,
They were told that they were gonna need traffic direction there, either through us or through flaggers.
And again, is it constant flow throughout the day, 9 to
Yeah.
5, 8 to 4, something like that? If we could just find out, maybe that's
yeah,
helpful.
and how big, and, I
I
don't know. I need a little more work on this one.
we both were a
And
little
a
skeptical.
voice from far. Now, I've been involved in this project for almost 4 years. Just as a point of order, that none of these things were broached in any pre-construction diagrams or discussion up until this point. So, a lot of times with contractors, they come through and say, oh, this is the way we really need to do it. Well, if it was really need to be done that way, they should have been brought forth, I think, a little bit further than this. So, I want to see Plan A, B, and C before we make any decisions on them.
Am I
Yes.
correct in saying that Mr. Blair is new to this project, they just brought him in? Didn't he say he just came up from New Jersey? Maybe this is his
I
input.
can't speak to that, I met him at that one safety meeting
Okay.
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, Norotan Avenue definitely is off my list, at least for today, because I think we need to look at that.
May I ask a question about that while we're on that topic? What work are they doing that requires the West Avenue closure?
To be honest, it's similar to what they're doing on the Heights roadside. It has something to do, I think, with the water and the piping underneath
Yeah.
to alleviate that flooding that happens in front of the liquor store. And that's my layman's take on it.
I'd like to or ask you to have a conversation with Ed Gentile. You might have awareness of the engineering of that.
Yeah. So the last part is, and the chief can correct me if I'm wrong, but they have to do this curb cut where they're gonna actually widen the right turn only southbound lane on the road in front of the bank.
Yes.
They're gonna make some adjustments to the driveway to Chase Bank. They said that was part of the original plan, and they said that would take approximately 2 weeks, and we would have to, with cones, shift that. You'd probably lose a little bit of that right turn only lane. So Norotan Avenue would still be north and southbound, but that would be a little tighter.
And the right turn only lane goes on to Heights Road.
Yes, and southbound.
That, I assume that all of that was approved, the new curb cut line.
It was from P and Z. The problem is on the other side of the street, you can't widen it because the utility poles are there.
So they, that work would take approximately 2 weeks. You'd need 2 officers there. We did a similar cone pattern when they demoed the house, so it's definitely doable.
And when do they think they're doing that?
They would say if they got approval to shut down West Avenue, they'd go to West Avenue first. That's their highest priority, is to get West Avenue done as quickly as possible. And then they could do the curb cut, and then if we did not approve the temporary driveway between Bill's and Chase, then they would do their plan B or C to get that equipment in another way.
Can we knock these off kind of one at a time? I mean, I just want to, because there's a lot going on in these pieces of paper. The Heights Road closure, we approved that for 2 or 3 days already, and they only used one of the days.
It was a 2-day approval with a possible third.
So they've used one of the days, and they're now asking for 4 more days?
Because I guess what they discovered underneath
Right.
has complicated what they need to do there.
They had to resubmit and redo their plans, apparently.
Yeah, because they found the sewer line. Well, I'm inclined to approve that. First of all, it's next week. We've already approved it. They didn't use all their days. They're just, I'm looking at you for a nod or a no, or am I looking at it?
They haven't,
Correctly.
they have not used all their days, and they're hoping for an additional, I guess, 2 or 3 days. I got the sense that they're not sure how long it's gonna take, and they might get it done in 3 days.
Well, what I really don't want, is them to come back and tell me instead of 4 or 5 days, it's now 7 days.
Right.
That's not acceptable.
Well,
So
I'm definitely gonna follow up with the project manager tomorrow.
I would follow up on a bunch of this stuff. And again, they want this next week, so I certainly don't want to impede their progress, especially because we're pushing them to get this done before September, and while, traffic is so, but I really, and I'm sympathetic to you find stuff. I don't think that, who knew there was a sewer line? But I would like, we can approve it with conditional that they give you a tight timeline, that
Maybe they can't go past the 24th.
They definitely cannot go past the 24th, in my book. Is that? And is there anything additional we can do for those shops that might think that this is an inconvenience?
I mean, I just looked at that very closely on Monday. The road is open. You can, there's.
And get to Vivala's and get your sandwich.
Cars can drive by that sign. There's a very large sign that says, businesses are open. We have an officer with a patrol car on either side of the main construction, so someone just
Okay.
doesn't blow through and, hit the equipment or fall into the ditch there.
I think more than half the problem is people just don't pay attention.
No,
And I think even when there's no construction there, people are still turning the wrong way into new Equinox exit.
well, that's
The
a
officer
good
had a tough
suggestion
time
too,
trying to keep
Equinox,
everybody
because
safe.
the only people that are going in and out of Equinox are the Equinox people. So if we can lean on the Equinox to either communicate to their members or to have additional signage, I think, again, it's not random people going in there, it's the same people, presumably, once they learn, and then they're taught and.
My big concern with, and why, I was for the actual road closure and why I'm worried about West Avenue is there's a lot of heavy equipment being moved around, piping and stuff like that, a lot of debris being kicked up, and we had an issue on West Avenue where a car was hit with debris from the main site, and I would be hesitant to have one-way traffic, going through either Heights Road or West Avenue when they're doing the work that they're doing, just to avoid any type of vehicle damage or, God forbid a pedestrian tries to ride their bike through there or something happens or you have.
So are you looking for a vote on any or all of these? I mean, clearly Heights Road.
I would say Heights Road and West Avenue,
Okay.
and then I would get more information about the.
All right, well, let's move the Heights Road and have a vote, and then let's refocus on West Ave, because to me, they're all four uncoupled. We don't have to, we take them individually.
Right.
Okay, so I move that we approve for the road closure on Heights Road, not to exceed the 5 days, 7/20 to 7/24 timeframe, and I think that is it. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
Okay, so then let's talk about West Avenue. Bob, are you, besides the transit bus issue, which we obviously have to talk about, is this something that we need to approve today?
I think that's what I think if I went back to them and told them that West Avenue is a go, I think they would adjust their calendar to get West Avenue done prior to September.
I'm inclined to do it if they can get it done. If the window closes, then the vote is over.
Right.
Conditional, very conditional. Because it's hope that it be attempted before September, but that's not strong enough language for me.
The work would have to be completed by September 1st or August 31st.
I don't know when school starts. I'm past the school-age children. But if they're going back, yeah, I think as soon as possible, because I do think even before school starts, that's a hard stop.
I just think if West Avenue isn't closed and it does take 5 to 7 weeks to complete, I think residents are going to to of that.
Yeah,
alternating
that's
traffic.
long, no, that's what I'm thinking. There's no good options here, let's be clear. But, all right, I'm inclined to approve I just want to say it, closure of West Avenue between Norotan and West for approximately 2 weeks.
Norotan and Edgerton.
River Edgerton, right?
Oh, here,
And we say,
no. Well, this,
Sorry,
It's West Ave.
one additional question.
Yeah.
You have to be prepared then to reverse the traffic flow of the exit out of McGuan, right?
because that dumps into the closed
That
Correct.
dumps into the closure.
You'd have to
area.
block.
You have to block it off.
You'd have to let people then exit out of the
Fire department.
at Norotan Avenue
onto
at the
Norotan.
fire station, which,
Is that not how they get out now?
I mean, it would be
Is that
okay
one
to
way
do that
now?
temporarily.
It's one way
You can
out.
do that anyway,
No.
it's not a,
No, it's
We
one way
have the
out
map where the
onto
road is actually
West
going to
Avenue.
close on West Avenue. We have that.
No one's playing baseball.
It's
I did
two-way.
that in an email.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, yeah,
Also?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, right, yeah, you just have to, because it's two ways at the firehouse and it's
Right.
one way out on the West Avenue side. Yeah.
So you don't have to change anything, it's just you're blocking
Just
off.
blocking one.
You just block
Oh,
it
it's-
out.
yeah.
just
Yeah,
temporary.
because you
Sounds
can come
like
out that
Scott.
way.
So, it looks like the work, if I'm right, you have it
I don't have
It
any.
looks like it's just west of the McGuan, so it's right there where the McGuan exit is, just west.
But if it's
just west.
already in and out on the Norotan side, then you
Yeah,
can
which
close
is-
it, close it
yeah,
or
it's
not.
all right, yeah.
I mean, you're not changing anything, it's just they cannot go out that way anymore.
You have to barricade that off.
You have to just barricade it.
So.
Can I
if you-
suggest, and I assume this is on their payroll, if, and I admittedly am dated from having a little leaguer, but there are times when McGuan is crazy, and if that exit is closed and it becomes, you know, I don't know whether it's 5 to 7 on Tuesday, I don't know what the McGuan, but if somebody could just monitor the traffic flow in and out of McGuan Field onto Norotan.
Well, I'm thinking just back from my minor and major league days, that most of the games, at least during the week, were late afternoon, early evening, which we're hoping the road will be open at that point each day, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And then no
That's
work on
good.
the weekends either. So
Okay.
I think for the
Yeah,
majority.
they wouldn't be going past 5.
Okay.
That wouldn't be palpable.
Also, when we say 2 weeks, is that 14 days including weekends, or is it 2 weeks business days, 10 days? Okay.
I just feel like that's the only thing that may be very time sensitive as far as the schools and stuff going.
No, I think we
These other things are.
need to get to it. And it's not, again, just to say it out loud to anyone who's watching, having it 7 weeks of one lane, and I mean, it's not that, it's messy the other way too. This is not, none of this is perfect, but I'm inclined to tell them that they can close it off for 2 weeks.
And it sounds, you know, it sounds like the curb cuts can be done anytime, so that's something that needs to be.
Okay. All right, well, let me make a motion for the West Ave, and so we can get that off, and then we can solidify what the other two are. So,
And do we want to put an end date on that as well?
well, that's what I said, is it could be attempted before September to avoid, so I'm gonna say until, I will assume it will be completed before the start of school. If it's not, then you need to come back to us.
Which I believe is August 27th, I think.
And we
So-
will
so
communicate with all the people, including the transit.
So their window is July 24th, after July 24th and before the 27th.
That's what I'm.
So they have between July 27th and August 26th.
They are agreeable to starting later and ending earlier to accommodate bus schedules. Also hope they'd be attempted before September to avoid the school season. So I'm gonna say that they should do both of those things. Hopefully, those are separate, because if they can start, if they can get it done before September, they don't have to avoid the bus schedules. So. I'm sure Jan is trying to take notes on what this motion is, and this is not, so I'm gonna restate it, not for anyone on TV, but for our core minutes person. So the motion is that we close West Avenue between Norotan Ave and Edgerton during the daytime for a 2-week period, and that the work should be after the Heights Road closure, which could be on July 24th, and prior to the start of school. Did I say that right, everybody?
Yep.
Okay. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So I think the Norotan Ave driveway needs
A
serious
sequencing
work.
plan. They just need to give us a sequencing plan.
They
They can,
need
they
something.
have to do that as part of their project management anyway.
Yeah.
Just see if they can get a sequencing and timing plan.
And what kind of trucks, and again, my vision is not good. So if they can get us over that hump, that would be. And the new curb line cuts at approximately 2 weeks, this isn't problematic, but it can't be when all this other stuff is going. So if they
Right.
can sequence that in there,
Right.
this is hard, I don't think this is.
It sounds like they want
an
to
issue.
jump on West Avenue badly.
Yes,
They
so,
have alternate plans for the driveway
okay,
entrance.
okay,
And-
if they can give all that and plan B and C and all that.
And hopefully Heights Road will get wrapped up shortly next week.
So we can start moving the other in the Gantt chart.
Spent a lot of time up there yesterday.
Well, I can imagine,
I
since
didn't
we
feel
just
like I
spent a
was
lot of
there
time
yet.
here. We haven't had a good traffic report in a while. You've been slacking off, Bob, now you're back in business. Okay. With that, anything else anyone wants to bring up? No? Okay, our next meeting, and of course, I don't have a calendar, because we now need to bring over the official calendar. Hold on. Let's see.
29.
I am not here, but I can call in these days. I don't know when anyone else's vacation schedule is. Do tell.
Vacation? What's that?
You don't get to go anywhere. You gotta quarantine on your way back in.
First week of August, otherwise I'm around.
Okay. Is that, so 29th is fine for people? If we don't do it the 29th, then we are pushing it out to the 12th, because Brent and I are both gone on the week of the 5th, which is totally fine too, since we don't have a lot going on, but are you generally?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, so why don't we say July 29th, 4 o'clock,
Works.
and then we're right on our regular schedule. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Chief, I'm hanging up on you.
No worries, I'll see you on the 29th, if not before.